As I walk around Gigantea, I feel cut down to size, a dwarf in the presence of the work of giants.
What if everything we know about history isn't true? What if people from the past sailed the seas and made maps long before we thought possible?
Well, I think their feat is almost unparalleled. You have to realize the time 1,000 years ago when Polynesians were treating the ocean as an open highway.
Graham Hancock believed they did.
I am a journalist, and the subject that I'm investigating is human prehistory.
He found clues that show a lost civilization traveled the oceans, made maps, and even understood longitude way before it was discovered.
He may be a seasoned navigator, but I'm betting he's never used maps like these.
In this video, we'll explore this hidden history where maps show Antarctica.
No Antarctica. Because our civilization didn't discover Antarctica until 1820.
Strange roads under the sea and more. Let's get started. Graham Hancock was born on August 2nd, 1950 in Britain. He's a writer with ideas about ancient civilization. He believes an advanced civilization lived during the last ice age.
Is a lost, advanced civilization of the Ice Age.
This civilization vanished after comet strikes about 12,900 years ago. He thinks some survivors passed on their knowledge to early humans. This helped start civilizations like Egypt, Sumeria, and Mesoamerica. Hancock grew up in Edinburgh. He studied sociology at Durham University. Later, he worked as a journalist for British newspapers and magazines. His first books focused on problems in international development. One of these, Lords of Poverty, 1989, criticized corruption in the aid system. In 1992, Hancock changed his focus to ancient civilization. He wrote books like Fingerprints of the Gods and Magicians of the Gods. In the past, he's talked about his ideas on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast and the PBD podcast, which is hosted by Patrick Bet David, where he also discussed a wide range of topics.
My view is the ancient world had the right attitude.
In these podcasts, Graham Hancock talks about important things. He shares a story that isn't about civilization like cars. It's not about phones, rockets, or cars. It's about an old civilization from the Stone Age, at a time most people forget. Many experts disagree with Hancock's work. They say his ideas lack strong facts and fairness. They call his research pseudoscience because he sometimes ignores important details. Some experts say his work focuses on too much on secret knowledge and things like psychedelics. They believe this does not match how real science works. Archaeologists often talk about ancient ocean travel. One famous story is the Polynesian expansion. This happened around 3,000 to 3,500 years ago. The Polynesians were expert sailors. They came across the ocean over long distances. They reached Easter Island, which is far from both South America and Tahiti. These sailors not only found the island, but they also settled there. It's a story of bravery and skill. We usually think of this as a story of the Polynesians, but Graham Hancock says there is something more that history has missed. Hancock thinks history might ignore ancient people who know how to sail far across the ocean. He says they might have traveled long before the Polynesians, bringing different cultures together in ways we still don't fully see. He believes ancient sailors helped share new ideas, trade goods, and explore the world. His ideas question what we usually think about history, showing that lost civilizations may have played a big part in early sea travel. Graham says we should question the idea that the Polynesians were the first to sail the oceans. He found new DNA evidence in the Amazon. It might show that people sailed much earlier. What if humans sailed long before the Polynesians? What if they knew how to navigate the oceans, but we've just forgotten it? The Egyptians were great builders. Now, they had boats more than 4,500 years ago. Some people think they never sailed out into the open ocean, but why not? If they had boats, why wouldn't they use them in the sea? Hancock makes us think. there's no reason to believe that Egyptians didn't know how to sail. Some people think other cultures sailed much earlier, maybe even from the Ice Age. Now, there's more to this story. Ancient maps. These maps show that people long ago knew what the world looked like during the Ice Age. One famous map is the Piri Reis map, made in 1513. It shows parts of South America, North America, and Africa. Piri Reis said he used over 100 older maps. These maps came from the Library of Alexandria, a place filled with ancient knowledge. Sadly, the library was lost in the 4th century AD. These old maps are surprisingly accurate. They show both longitude and latitude. Now, longitude was something people didn't understand until the 1700s. How did ancient cultures know about it? Graham Hancock believes they did. These maps suggest there was a group of sailors who travelled the world and mapped it long before we did. One shocking thing about these maps is their coastlines. They look like they did during the Ice Age when sea levels were much lower. Now, this means the maps might be based on knowledge from thousands of years ago. Couldn't ancient civilization have travelled the world long before we thought? Another mystery is longitude. Finding it at sea needs precise timekeeping. Historians say these weren't possible until the 1700s, but these old maps seem to get it right. How? Did ancient people know more about navigation than we realize? Graham Hancock believes a lost civilization once had amazing knowledge of travel and mapping. He thinks they were wiped out by disasters long ago. Some of their wisdom may have survived in the Library of Alexandria. But when the library burned, much of that knowledge, well, it just disappeared. Only small pieces remain in rare old maps. One of the most surprising things in these maps is the image of Antarctica. The land was hidden under ice for thousands of years, but these maps seem to show Antarctica as it looked before the ice. This means someone mapped it long before we found it in the 1800s. The Grand Bahama Banks are a key part of the story. The Piri Reis map shows an island near North America. It has big stone roads on it. Hancock went there and found Bimini Road. Some say it's natural, but Hancock thinks it was made by people. The map shows the Bimini Road above water, but it's now under the sea. This means long ago, the Grand Bahama Banks might have been above water. People may have built the road, and now, well, it's lost underwater. So, what if there was an old lost civilization? One that sailed across the seas and could map the oceans long ago. This could have happened even during the Ice Age, but most people don't believe this. Graham Hancock thinks it's time we rethink everything we know. The real mystery is not if the Bimini Road is natural or made by humans. The real mystery is that it was once on a map, when it was still above water. Hancock wants us to think, could ancient people have explored the seas? Maybe they left clues we've just missed. Could human history go back much further than we thought? Maybe the answers are not in what we've been taught, but in old maps and sunken ruins that still hide secrets. A long time ago, there was a group of people who knew things we just don't understand. They lived in a stone age, but their knowledge was way ahead of our time. What if we told you they figured out something we didn't learn until the 1700s? The problem of longitude, the vertical line on the map, was a big issue for sailors. It was dangerous because without knowing it, a ship could crash into land. Sailors couldn't measure longitude correctly. It wasn't until the 1700s when the chronometer was invented. Then we learned to do it right. Now, what I find amazing is that the old maps from the 14th and the 15th century show perfect longitudes. These maps, like the Uranus Filius, Piri Reis, and others, show a world that was very different, even from the Ice Age. Some maps even show Antarctica, which wasn't discovered by the West until 1820. One of the big mysteries is their drawings of Antarctica. Now, modern explorers found this land in the 19th century, but some old maps show its coastline without ice. Now, that hasn't happened for thousands of years. Even stranger, some maps show the Earth's true shape. They get distances right and even hint at deep knowledge of math. But how? The people who made these maps knew things that scientists discovered much later. These maps are more than just pictures. They show that an ancient civilization once knew how to map the world. They show Antarctica, much bigger in the Ice Age, and lands that were once connected like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Australia. We don't see these now because sea levels were lower back then. This wasn't just exploration. It was a deep understanding of the planet, something we're just starting to learn. The most exciting part is that these maps have a message in Latin. It says they reveal regions once hidden. This wasn't just a boast, it means the maps weren't made recently. They were rediscovered, maybe even after being hidden for thousands of years. What does it mean? It shows that a long time ago, a civilization understood the stars and seas. They had knowledge that we are just beginning to understand. They didn't have cars or phones, but their knowledge was special. This mystery is what Graham Hancock invites us to explore. It challenges what we know about our past, and it's not about lost cities or myths. It's about finding an old civilization where knowledge was hidden. And maybe, just maybe, the maps they left behind are the key to unlocking these secrets. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.